What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hopefully you're as sick as I am of eating turkey over this weekend, over Thanksgiving. Now we have some stuff to talk about. I want to talk about MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor did pitch his Bitcoin strategy to Microsoft, and it's a 3-minute video. I will leave it down below for you guys. Now the ball's in Microsoft's court, but we're going to talk about that. We also have some XRP stuff I want to talk about. It recently broke its $2 resistance that was set multiple years ago. But anyways, let's get started. Michael Saylor told Microsoft that they're better off buying Bitcoin than their own stock, and on one slide he showed the performance in multiple different time frames. Of course, the past doesn't dictate the future, but I would tend to agree with Michael Saylor there. Michael Saylor also believes that Microsoft could reach $554 and create a nearly $5 trillion value by 2034 if they invest in Bitcoin. Shareholders of Microsoft are expected to vote on December 10th, so shortly after that will be when we get our answer. Imagine the balls on you to say that you're better off not buying your own company's shares and you should just buy Bitcoin instead. Saying that to their face, that's a pretty bold move if you ask me. I think we would see a pop on Microsoft if they did announce that they're going to buy Bitcoin, add it to their balance sheet. I think the companies that would do something like this will see an improvement in share price based on the Bitcoin cycle. So you need to realize these companies have limited time left before they get in at the potentially wrong time following the cycle, if the cycles still play out. There will be companies that adopt a MicroStrategy type of strategy with Bitcoin too late in the cycle. Bitcoin starts pulling back and their share prices will suffer. There will be companies that blame Bitcoin for their bad timing. This will happen. Hopefully it's not Microsoft that ends up in that case, if they're early enough, and they are still. But anyways, like I said, I will leave the video down below if you want to watch it. It is interesting. It is eye-opening. We also have another company acting like MicroStrategy as well, issuing convertible bonds to buy more Bitcoin. And this is Marathon doing this, Marathon stock, the Bitcoin miner. These convertible notes are due in 2031, so we have one whole cycle after that and the beginning of next cycle. We have the 2028 halving cycle and then the coming 2032 halving cycle, which by 2031 I would expect we already see a beginning of an anticipatory run. So we basically have the rest of this cycle, a whole nother cycle completely, and part of the next cycle after that. I think the companies doing this are doing the right thing. I think Marathon's share price will increase because of this news over time. I would like to see something like this from CleanSpark, but I personally doubt we're going to see it. And speaking of earnings, there is CleanSpark's earnings after the bell today, and it is the best performing Bitcoin miner today, so I would be cautious. It is pumping up to earnings. I wouldn't say pumping, but it is the best performing Bitcoin miner today, so that just makes me a little cautious. But maybe someone knows something. Maybe they just expect a short-term pump at the end. Who knows? My opinion is that these Bitcoin miners got to get through the last earnings, and CleanSpark is one of the last miners to report Q3. We are currently in Q4. Q4 was when Bitcoin ran from, the 50,000s all the way to almost 100,000. That was not in Q3. In Q3, Bitcoin actually pulled back to 49K in August. Q3 was a very weak quarter for the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin, and I do expect that to translate into their earnings, but forward guidance is where the excitement should begin. All right, now I do want to mention XRP. I think altcoin season is upon us. The alts are pumping. It is time to get into the alts. It has been time to get into them, and I do believe there is still time now. I'll leave this article down below for you guys. I wanted to show you something interesting. XRP is actually more popular on Google Trends than the word crypto. When you look up XRP, there is more attention for that than the actual term crypto. Be aware that it has pumped insanely as of late. I personally think the best way to play XRP would either be to set a stop loss, probably right around the $2 psychological area, or to just DCA with plans of exiting within 6 months or so and following Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. I do think there's still some room to run with XRP, and altcoin season is literally just kicking off, but you want to get in early. That's when the most gains can be had. If you can buy something for $1 that pumps to $10, you're going to make a lot more than if you buy something at $3 that pumps to $10. So with the alts, you want to be getting in early. You want to get in now. You don't want to be chasing them at the tail end of Bitcoin's bull run in late 2025. That is my plan to exit. But XRP is absolutely pumping. It is up another 21% just today, and it is very, very overbought on its RSI. It has done this before. It actually, back in 2017, it has never gone higher than it was back in 2017. Yes, the 2021 bull market did not bring it to its old prices back in 2017. Now, just looking at this chart-wise, just looking at this on the long term, you'll see that it has a huge spike and then it just dumps completely. A huge spike and then it pretty much dumps completely. Be cautious, but also realize that we could be, if you're looking at this one, we could be like right here. We could literally be right here. What happened? We got to the same level on overbought. We cooled down a little bit, and then we continued until the party was over. So just because we are overbought just like that doesn't mean it can't cool down and go more. We could cool down and go more. Keep an eye on the bearish divergences. Once we start getting bearish divergences flashing, that might be time to trim, take profits. Prepare for the potential test of $2. It is definitely a possibility that we come down and test $2 as a support. But do you typically want to chase something like this after it's up 21% in a day? After the RSI is so overbought, the most overbought it's been since the last, other cycles, since the other spikes where they basically run and then dump? I would be cautious. Realize where we are on the cycle, however. And I want to show you guys that last cycle when XRP pumped, it basically topped in April of 2021. It did not top out later in the year. It topped out early in the springtime. Perhaps we see something similar with 2025. Maybe we get a pump up to spring and that's where the party's over. My opinion though is that XRP is an okay DCA. Better yet, buy the dips, with plans of scaling out within 6 months or so, like I said. Now looking at Bitcoin, we are watching this descending resistance. Oh, let me show you Q3 and Q4. So look at, this is where Q4 started. We literally, the Q4 pump, like every cycle, we got it. The Q4 pump, that's what I'm talking about. This is great for the Bitcoin miners. It is going to be good times for the Bitcoin miners reporting Q4. Look at Q3. Q3 was pretty weak. Bitcoin went all the way down to 49K during this Q3. But one thing I'm watching for Bitcoin is this descending resistance. I think once we break this descending resistance, we will test 100K. Once we break 100K, I think that's where retail really starts getting hyped up. That's where the alts really start pumping. Not just one or two here and there, but all of them. This is where things get crazy. This is where you need to keep your emotions in check. This is when your very own mom, your very own grandma starts asking you about Bitcoin. Usually that is a topping sign. When everybody is suddenly talking about Bitcoin, but when you were talking about it, they didn't want to hear you, that is a red flag. In the end, follow the cycle and you'll do all right. Know that the most likely scenario is we will top out at some point in 2025, probably mid 2025 in my opinion, and just keep your emotions in check. When things are running like crazy, you want to start securing some profits, start getting to where you're playing with house money, start getting where the risk is off the table. That is the goal. But thanks as always for watching, guys. How are you feeling about XRP? Do you think it's going to keep pumping? Do you think it will flip Bitcoin like it did a few cycles ago? And how are you feeling about alts in general? I really do think this is the time to start doing some research, start checking into some projects, start dispersing some funds and getting into those altcoins. I do think there's a lot of alts that will outperform Bitcoin. In my opinion, Bitcoin has somewhere around a double up at the most from here, whereas some alts could 5x and more. But in my opinion, like I always say, follow the cycle and you'll do all right. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.